Well, there's a real buzz here at the Future Renting Conference in Wales, and I'm delighted to be joined by Rowland, manager of Rent Smart Wales, one of our keynote speakers here today. Anne, how important is it for landlords to get together under one roof like this and engage with people such as yourselves?
I think it is so important. I've really enjoyed the people I've listened to already today. It's really given an opportunity for people to learn about some of the different complexities facing the sector, but also to hear about some of the really positive things that are going on. And obviously within Rent Smart Wales, that's one of the things that we try to think of. We're a piece of legislation that's come in, but actually we've managed to register the majority of the sector, and now it's about finding the ones out there who give the sector a bad name. But I definitely have found today really useful myself, and I'm sure every other delegate here has too.
So how have landlords reacted to the rollout of Rent Smart Wales?
As with any new piece of legislation, there's always going to be a little bit of people feeling that they're not quite sure what it is and they don't want to comply. However, we've found that actually when people have been part of the system, when they've done the registration, they found that quick and easy to do. The licensing itself is such an important model because it's all about training, and obviously the RLA have been integral to that, making sure that their own members are trained, and we have then been able to passport them into our licensing process through that training route.
Yeah.
And actually now, as I said, the compliance has been really good, at a really high level, over 90%, and we therefore feel that, you know, it's really shown that actually the sector has decided that they want to be part of this and to work with us in local government rather than against.
Indeed. So would you take feedback from the landlords here today and feed that back to the team at Rent Smart Wales about how they're feeling about it?
Absolutely, and that's why we not only come and speak at these events because we want to be engaging directly with landlords and agents, but also we want to try and improve in areas that we can. We've always tried to be pragmatic, albeit within the confines of what the legislation says that we're trying to achieve. But at the same time, I've come to many of these events before. Thankfully, a lot of people will know my face, and I've had lots of really interesting questions today just from mingling with landlords at this event, and they're the kind of thing that I can go back then and look at our processes and procedures and see what maybe we could do better to make sure that it's a fit for purpose process for all.
Indeed. So just give us a quick preview of your talk here this afternoon.
So this afternoon I'm talking about Rent Smart Wales. I'm talking about how it came into place, the legislation behind it, which is the Housing Wales Act 2014. It gives some of the statistics, a brief overview of what it entails, because although virtually everyone today has introduced themselves as a landlord and says, and I am registered with Rent Smart Wales, I just feel it's important to clarify the details of what people have to do. And then I'm also talking about what we've been doing so far in the last year to bring people into the system who themselves won't comply without legal intervention. So some of the high profile prosecutions that we've done, and the future of how we are going to be trying to make sure that we get as much compliance in the sector as possible.
Because I'm sure you'll agree that it's really the minority of landlords that are not adhering to standards and who are rogues. The vast majority of landlords are good landlords, aren't they? So really, it's so important to target the rogues, as you said, but also show that there is enforcement.
Completely agree with that. Of course, with any landlord, having information and training is always a good thing, because even when you think you know everything, fortunately things are changing all the time, and that's the real ethos behind Rent Smart Wales, is the training and the information for those who need it, those who need to be licensed because they let and manage properties. But certainly in relation to the small minority, which it is now in Wales, that aren't complying, we're going to be using all the tools that we have, which obviously includes a lot of data matching with information such as council tax, housing benefits, also looking at the things like the National Anti-Fraud Network, to try and make sure that we eke out those people who won't willingly comply because they're trying to stay under the radar. And certainly for some of the landlords we prosecuted, they were going along that route, and we have been able to find them and identify them. But obviously we accept we've still got work to do, but we've only been in place 2 years, and what we've achieved in that time I think is really positive.
Have you had any feedback from tenants?
We obviously get tenants coming to us directly. Obviously, sometimes that's informing us of non-compliant landlords. We also make sure that we provide information to tenants. So although we suggest that landlords give themselves the Welsh Government Tenant Handbook to tenants when they start their tenancy, we also have a checklist on our website that tenants can look through, because we want them to seek out good quality accommodation from good quality landlords, not feel that they don't have any choice and that they only can rent from some of the people out there who aren't doing it in such a good way. But again, through the engagement we have with people like Shelter and Sisters Advice, we feel that that message is getting out to tenants, and they themselves are a very important part of the sector, and trying to make sure that they're engaged as well.
Indeed. And just to finish, would you say that the future is looking bright for the Welsh private rented sector? I mean, there are challenges, but with challenge comes opportunity.
I think that is completely true. Of course, there is lots of things coming, and those things have been talked about today, whether that's taxation, whether that's further changes. But I do think it definitely is going in the right direction. I think the level of engagement in the private renter sector now, an event like this probably would have only had a few delegates, maybe 10, 15 years ago. And seeing now the amount of people who are here, and that's on all sides of the table, so tenants groups, government groups, but also landlords themselves, actually coming and to an event like this to find out more, is so encouraging. And I certainly think that in Wales we've got, we're this perfect little, because we're not so big that we can't control our own destiny, if you like, and I think that we've got lots of positive things coming ahead of us, definitely.
Oh, fantastic. So thank you so much for being a speaker here today for the RLA and taking part in the interview. Really, really interesting to hear from you about Rent Smart Wales. Thank you very much for your contribution.
Thank you.